Good day, everyone. Before I start, I hope that you already watched our first topic entitled The Legal Basis. And hopefully, hindi nyo lang siya basta napanood, kundi naunawaan. So again, let me remind every one of you, don't forget to take down notes for your, in preparation for your quizzes, examinations, and of course, for your phone call recitation. So let's start. Our next topic is the AFP organization. Sa topic na ito, pag-uusapan natin kung paano nga ba nabuo ang Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP o sa Tagalog ay Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas. So, let's see. The Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP identifies itself with the Filipino people's historical struggles for freedom and justice and their vigilance against any attempt to violate the country's integrity and sovereignty. So kung nakikinig kayo sa mga history class nyo nung elementary or high school, so you know the whole story. So magulo yung bansa, maraming gustong sumakop na ibang lugar sa atin. So ngayon, pag-uusapan natin yung mga mahalagang event na nangyari noon na nag-udyok kung bakit nga ba nabuo ang Armed Forces of the Philippines. So let's start with sa pinakasikat na pangyayari, ang Battle of Mactan. The AFP, as the embodiment of the cherished martial values and traditions of the Filipino people, traces its root to certain historical events, foremost of which is the Battle of Mactan on April 27, 1521, where Lapu-Lapu, the acknowledged father of AFP, first demonstrated our love for freedom. So, alam nyo naman siguro kung ano yung nangyari sa Battle of Mactan. So, ang kalaban doon ni Lapu-Lapu ay si Magellan. So, kaya naman, dahil si Lapu-Lapu ang kauna-unahang nagpakita or nagpagilas ng pagmamahal sa bayan, siya po yung tinaguri ang the father of AFP. So, once again, Lapu-Lapu is the acknowledged father of AFP. Next, the Dagohoy Revolt. The Dagohoy Revolt in 1744, it is the Muslim resistance and other similar uprisings against Spanish colonialism, manifesting our fight against foreign domination. Ang Dagohoy Revolt ay pinamunuan ni Francisco Dagohoy at sinasabi na ang rebelyon na to ang pinakamahaba na umabot ng humigit kumulang 85 taon. 85 years, imagine. And then sinasabi rin na 20 years old pa lang si Dagohoy ay nakikipaglaban na. Reason is the forced labor. Sunod na pangyayari naman ay ang pagkakatatag ng KKK or kataas-taasan, kagalang-galang na katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan sa pangunguna ni Andres Bonifacio. The founding of the Katipunan on July 7, 1892 by Andres Bonifacio, considered as the father of the Philippine Army, who proclaimed Filipinos' solidarity. Dito nangyari yung sigaw ng Pugadlawin, kung saan pinunit nila yung kanilang mga sedula na nangangahulugan ng pagtutol sa mga kautusan ng Espanyol. Dahil dito, si Andres Bonifacio ang tinaguriang father of the Philippine Army. Next, the Tejeros Convention. The Tejeros Convention on March 22, 1897, which proclaimed officially our desire for complete independence. Sa Tejeros Convention naman nangyari ang kauna-unahang presidential and vice presidential election wherein ang nanalong presidente ay si Emilio Aguinaldo, our first president of course. And then ang nakalaban niya dito ay si Andres Bonifacio at Mariano Trias. So ito ay dinaluhan lamang ng mga miyembro ng KKK. So meaning to say, hindi lahat ng tao bumoto that time. And then, sa meeting na ito, ay dito rin naganap yung officially, kumbaga pinroclaim nila na gusto talaga nilang maging bansang malaya ang Pilipinas. Kaya naman, on the same day, the Philippine Army was founded in Cavite. The armed force of General Emilio Aguinaldo's revolutionary government, with General Artemio Ricarte as its first Captain General. So dahil nga matindi yung desire nila na maging bansang malaya ang Pilipinas, agad-agad binuo ang Philippine Army kung saan si General Artemio Ricarte ang naging kauna-unahang Captain General. And then, subsequently, the Philippine Navy was created on May 20, 1898. And then on June 12, 1898, the Philippine independence was declared at Kawit, Cavite, and for the first time, the Philippine flag was unfurled by General Emilio Aguinaldo and our national hymn was played. So yun na nga, officially idineclare na bansang malaya ang Pilipinas noong June 12, 1898. And then, to hasten the Philippine Campaign on Peace and Order, the Philippine Military Academy was organized on October 28, 1898. And on December 21, 1935, the National Defense Act was enacted to create the AFP. So yun, official na may AFP. Again, December 21, 1935. And then, the Philippine Air Force was later established on July 1, 1947. At this point, pag-usapan naman natin ang chain of command. So, ito yung hierarchy kung sino yung pinakamataas. And of course, ang pinakamataas ay ang Commander-in-Chief, followed by Secretary of the National Defense and Chief of Staff ng AFP. So, alamin natin kung sino-sino ang mga yon at kung ano ang duties and responsibilities nila. So, let's start with Commander-in-Chief. The President is the Commander-in-Chief of the AFP. He or she exercises strategic direction over the personnel and the resources of the military establishment. Of course, our Commander-in-Chief is President Rodrigo R. Duterte. So, lagi po yon, automatic. Kung sino yung presidente ng Pilipinas, siya yung Commander-in-Chief ng AFP. Next is the Secretary of the National Defense. Secretary of the National Defense may represent executive function and in the supervision of the defense program of the country. Our Secretary of the National Defense is Secretary Delphine N. Lorenzana. And lastly, the Chief of Staff. The Chief of Staff of AFP executes the command functions of the President in relation to strategy, tactics, and operations. He is also the immediate advisor of the Secretary of the National Defense, and he has the command and control over all the elements of the AFP. Our Chief of Staff is Lieutenant General Gilbert I. Gapay, AFP. Next, let's talk about the AFP composition. So, meron po tayong tinatawag na regular force at reserve force. So, pag-usapan natin kung ano nga ba yung pagkakaiba nila sa isa't isa. So, let's have regular force. Regular force is a permanent military organization which is maintained in time of peace and war. While reserve force, it is the military organization that will come off physical existence only upon mobilization as may be called upon by the Commander-in-Chief due to state of national emergency such as war or widespread disorder. So, ang regular force, from the word itself, permanent. So, sila po yung mga 24/7 na naka-duty. While reserve force, sabi nga, reserve, tatawagin lamang kapag kailangan. So, katulad ko, after graduation, ako ay inusap to handle ROTC subjects sa Batangas State University. So, yon. Kaya hanggang ngayon, nandito pa rin ako sa inyong harapan. So, proud to serve Navy Reserve. Next, the AFP Major Service Command. So, once again, meron po ang AFP na 3 Major Service Command. And those are Philippine Army, Philippine Navy, and Philippine Air Force. At this moment, ay hayaan nyo na ipaliwanag ko kung ano nga ba ang mission ng bawat isa. So let's start with Philippine Army. Their mission is to develop, organize, train, equip, support, and sustain ground forces for the conduct of prompt and sustained operations to accomplish the AFP mission. Philippine Air Force. Their mission is to conduct prompt and sustained air operations in support to the AFP mission. Next, Philippine Navy. Their mission is to organize, train, equip, deploy, and maintain forces for prompt and sustained naval and maritime operations in support of the AFP mission. So kung mapapansin nyo, ang mission ng bawat isa ay naka-align sa mission ni Armed Forces of the Philippines, which is to protect the people, secure the sovereignty of the state, and the integrity of the national territory from internal and external threats. So again, let me clear. So si Philippine Army, so they are focused po sa mga ground combat operations. Si Air Force naman ay to secure the Philippine airspace, and then sa Philippine Navy to secure the Philippine territorial waters. Next, the AFP Reserve Command. AFP Reserve Command was organized as an AFP-wide support and separate unit on April 1, 1993, pursuant to General Order No. 22, dated March 2, 1993, and Republic Act No. 7077, otherwise known as the Armed Forces of the Philippines Reservists Act, as a base for the rapid expansion of the Armed Forces of the Philippines in times of emergency. So, kinreate naman si AFP Reserve Command para mapadami ang reservists ng Pilipinas. So, pag-usapan natin yung tatlong klase ng Reserve Command. So, first is the Army Reserve Command. Army Reserve Command is premised on a dedication to service, faced with the challenge of being in a constant state of readiness and responsiveness, if it is to back up the regular Army. Next is the Air Force Reserve Command. It is actively involved in the administration and utilization of the Air Force reservists. And then, Naval Reserve Command. They are tasked to oversee and administer all naval reservists in our country in order to provide the Navy not only a base for expansion in the event of war, invasion, rebellion, or disaster and calamity relief, but also to assist in socio-economic development of the country. So, yung tatlong klase ng Reserve Command na nabanggit, again, Army Reserve Command. So, sila po yung nag-a-administer ng mga reservists na Army. And then, Air Force Reserve Command, nag-a-administer sila ng mga reservists ng Air Force from the word itself. And then, Naval Reserve Command, reservists ng Philippine Navy. So, ang pinaka-objective or role ng mga reservists ay to the rescue. So, sila po yung kauna-unang rescue in times of calamity. So, halimbawa ay mga typhoon, may baha, volcanic eruption. So, again, reservists po ay laging to the rescue. Lastly, the Naval Reserve Centers. So, ito naman ay nabanggit ko na noong orientation wherein ang Naval Reserve Command ay binubuo o nahati sa 8 centers. At ito ay ang mga sumusunod. Naval Reserve Center, Northern Luzon. The headquarters of it is situated in Dagupan City. Next is the Naval Reserve Center, National Capital Region in Taguig City. Naval Reserve Center, Southern Luzon in Legazpi City. Naval Reserve Center West in Palawan. Naval Reserve Center, Eastern Visayas in Cebu City. Naval Reserve Center, Western Visayas in Iloilo. Naval Reserve Center, Western Mindanao in Zamboanga City. And lastly, the Naval Reserve Center, Eastern Mindanao. At sa 8 yon, tayo nga ay nakapaloob sa Naval Reserve Center, Southern Luzon, which cover areas from Batangas, Mindoro, Romblon, and the entire Bicol region. So, that's it. That will be the end of this topic. The AFP organization. I hope you learned something. Good day. God bless.